Welcome to another episode of Whitetail Rendezvous, coming to you 6 days a week as we interview whitetail experts and hear their traditions and personal stories of the hunt. Learn more about the latest gear, discover proven tips, and the latest strategies so you can make your next hunt a success. Now, here's your host, Bruce Hutchin.
On behalf of Whitetail Rendezvous, this is your host, Bruce Hutchin, and I want to say thank you to everybody for making 2016 a banner year. Why? Because we went over 100,000 iTunes downloads. Why? Because we had over 300 guests on the show. And talking about the show, sometimes my guests are in a tree stand, sitting in a pickup truck on the top of a hill, or just don't have great bandwidth to pick up the recording. So I apologize for that. We're doing the best we can, but this is a real show with real people in real places.
This is Whitetail Rendezvous Podcast, episode number 316.
Welcome to another episode of Whitetail Rendezvous. This is your host, Bruce Hutchin, and we're going to head out to the eastern part of the country, and we're going to visit with Robbie Knickman. Robbie was on the show about a year ago, starting out a business called The Mix. Well, the business has taken off. Now he's got the Mega Mix, and he's got deer pops. Let me tell you about the deer pops. They are extraordinary deer attractants. They just hang off the tree. It's a popsicle with the mix in it, and deer just come up and they'll lick it and then they'll move on their way. But it's a great way to set up a deer for the shot right in your shooting lane. So listen up. Robbie's got some really neat tricks to share with you. So Robbie Knickman, The Mix. Hey, listeners, don't forget to text 33444. Food Plot for your free Food Plot ebook. Welcome to another episode of Whitetail Rendezvous. And for everybody out there, Happy New Year. This is a couple of days before New Year's, but Happy New Year to all our listeners. And hey, we're going to connect with Robbie Knickman. Now, Robbie's been on the show now, and you can call him the Mix Man. Robbie, welcome to the show.
Thank you, bud. I appreciate it. Glad to be here.
Yeah, it's been a while. It's probably been 8 months or so since you were on the show, maybe even longer. And you started off, telling me about the mix, and we'll get into that, folks, because he's got some products that flat work. But let's just start off with the picture you sent for your bios. A couple of guys there in camo, and then you, and then a big guy. What's all that about?
Basically what it is, with me being a pro staffer now for the American Veteran Outdoors, David Kegwin and guys made me a pro staffer. So what my job is with me having my website, all the proceeds from my T-shirts, hats, hoodies, and skull caps, I use that to take veterans on hunts, the same my way of saying thank you to the vets with me being a veteran myself. So basically that picture I sent you was we were in Wooten, Ohio with Jackson Outdoors TV, and that was Matt and Zach of Jackson Outdoors. And the bigger guy with the glasses, that was Dan. He's an ex-Marine sniper. He's the one we drew to go on the hunt for there, and we were there for 4 days, and we just had a blast. Everybody joking, laughing. We met some good people, saw a lot of deer. Nothing big. You know, when you go to Ohio, you go for the big deer. All the deer we saw wasn't shooters, but we still had a good time because, as everybody knows, hunting's not about killing all the time. It's about the experience, the friendships you made, and just having a good time. And that's what we did. It was a blast. I mean, it really helped Dan out with him being a vet. He has PTSD real bad also. So then 4 days, he said he was calmer. In them 4 days, and he's been for months. So it was a really good time with there. We had a really good time up there. Saw a lot of turkeys too. I mean, a lot of turkeys. So it was a very good hunt.
Yeah, and that's great to see. Now, how'd you get involved with helping the veterans?
Basically, David Cagle contacted me about the mix because he went on there, because now that I have my website and he saw my bio, my military stuff. So I started out just by, I'm their sponsor, so I started out as their Attractant sponsor. So after 2 or 3 months of me, helping them guys out, raise money for all their fundraising they do down there in, we're there in Arkansas, he called me one day because I had to ask you a serious question. I said, yeah, Dave. He goes, me and Ben and everybody was like, no, if you'd like to be one of our pro staffers. I'm like, what? He goes, yeah. I said, Dave, are you serious? He goes, Robbie, we're dead serious. And that's how I got involved with it, man. So once they made me a pro staffer, then, advancing along in the business like I am, because like everybody knows me. I mean, I do a lot of work, but my product speaks for itself. And then I started getting the hats and T-shirts, and Dave basically, explained to me, well, here's what you're going to do as a pro staffer for us. It's what we do. And now I take veterans on hunting trips, fishing trips. I took Staff Sergeant Adams fishing, last April, and we took my daughter Kai, which is the boss lady, with us, and she outfished 3 grown vets. I caught 1 small fish. She caught 7 fish, and Staff Sergeant Adams, he didn't catch none, and Lance Corporal, he didn't catch nothing either. So we were all showing up by a freaking 8-year-old.
Hey, just for the history for the listeners, tell us the story about how the mix came to be, because the boss lady figured it out. It's a great story.
Basically what it is, with her being my little sidekick, one day she came with a bunch of snacks that she didn't want to eat. And she goes, well, Daddy, I want to take it down and put it in your deer hunting spot. So we took it down in my spot in Maryland. We put it out. I put a camera in front of it, and I was amazed on how the deer hit it. So basically what I did today, I contacted Doug Roberts from Conquest Sense. I talked to him about, because, with him having a deer farm, him knowing about deer, he gave me some pointers. Then I contacted James Crow, which everybody knows that's Dr. Deer. I talked to him. So what I did is I keyed my ingredients on the deer and what they like and how they like. They're like a big kid. They have a sweet tooth, and that's what I key on. I mean, I started out with the mix. Now I got the mega mix, because everybody's saying, Robbie, you need to get something with a mineral in it. So what I did is I contacted a mineral company, so I get big things in a mineral. So now I got my mix, which is a deer attraction. I got my mega mix, which is a deer attraction plus a mineral, and now I have my deer pops, which is also a big hit. So I mean, it's like, it took me a lot of work on getting the deer pop formula down, because the way it hardens up. But ever since I did that, man, people love them. I mean, I got mule deer hitting them, access deer hitting them. Of course, raccoons, we all have that problem. I mean, I got hogs hitting them. I mean, you name it, it's hitting it, which is, it's pretty wild. Some days I make it myself.
Why'd you start the mix? What was the kickstart on that?
The kickstart is I saw the way when Kai said, Dad, let's put these out, and I saw how the deer reacted to it, and I tried almost every attractant on the market. I mean, I tried everything. So, like I said, I saw the way they were hitting the mix. I thought to myself, well, look, hunting's my passion. I get to spend time with friends. I get to spend time with my daughter in the woods, and I always wanted to get into the hunting business. So I said, okay, just right before I talked to you all them months ago, I said, well, I'm going to go ahead and put something out on Facebook and see if it'll take off or not. And within 2.5 weeks, it's been flying ever since. I mean, like when I contacted you about being on the show to talk about it, I mean, it's just amazing how a little idea like that actually boosted my dream of getting into the hunting business, and also it's got my daughter in it, which we get to spend a lot of time together. I mean, it's just pretty wild. It's like a dream come true.
Hey, if somebody wants to get hold of you for American veterans or for the mix, how would they do that?
If you guys want to get a hold of the American Veteran Outdoors, just go on Facebook and find the American Veteran Outdoors, or you could PM me on my. I have a group on Facebook called Camo Outdoors, or you can go on my website, which is themixfordeer.com. It has all my contact information. You can contact myself, or like I said, go on to Facebook, find the American Veteran Outdoors, and contact David Cagle. David Cagle is the head of the American Veteran Outdoors. He actually still is active Air Force, and I think everybody but me and one other guy, 21 guys. There's only 2 Army guys, which is me and I think it's Mike, and the rest of them are all Air Force. But it's a group. It's one heck of a group. I mean, he constantly taking veterans out on hunts. I mean, I'll tell you a little story with Dave, what kind of guy he is. One of his friends got deployed, and this was like 3 or 4 months ago, and his daughter was into, the professional horse riding stuff. Well, her mom went to the store. She stopped to get gas. She had her saddle in the back of the truck. While she went in to pay for the gas and came back out, somebody stole that little girl's saddle. So what Dave did is, Dave, found out about it. Within 3 days, Dave contacted all the guys from the AVO. He also works with a group called Hooked on Heroes, which also helps veterans. I think it happened on a Monday, but that Saturday they pulled the girl to our parking lot. They had a brand new saddle with her, plus gave her $5,000 that they raised for her to help her horse racing career. And that's, Dave, that's the kind of guy they are, man. They do like I do. They'll go out, they'll raise money for Christmas like we did this year. We went out. We had a fundraiser to raise money for needy kids for Christmas. I mean, the organization is just great, and I just really an honor to be a part of that, man. Like I say, man, it's just a great organization. He does a lot of stuff for vets, and that's how we say thank you. Because, I know what's going on overseas. We got to take care of our vets, man. So that's how I got involved with the AVO, and that's why I'm glad I'm a part of it. I mean, they're actually taking a bunch of my mix and my mega mix down to the Tennessee, the Tennessee hunting show next month. They're going to have it on their tables, and they'll be set up there also. So, like I said, man, it's a great organization. It helps a lot of veterans, a lot of vets, and their families.
Well, props to you and props to all the guys, and I look forward to having Dave Cagle on the show down the road here. Hey, let's talk about hunting and talk about kids and hunting and how you got your daughter started with a bow this year.
Yeah, well, she started out with a bear. Well, she started out with I got an old bear recurve, which is one of the old kid compounds. Well, she started with that. Then I moved it to a bear scout, and at 10 yards with a bear scout with no sight, she was hitting in the vitals every time. So basically, what I did this year for Christmas, which I messed with her for like 3 months, because she went down to the bow shop and she saw the bow hanging, and she goes, "Daddy, I like that bow." I said, "Oh, okay, well, we'll ask Santa Claus." So I told Nate, I said, "Nate, go ahead and hide that bow, and I'll buy that bow for her." So we went down there again. She goes, "Daddy, the bow is gone." I was like, "Yeah, Mr. Nate sold it." So the whole time with her, she thinks she wasn't getting a bow. I posted a video on Facebook when she opened it on Christmas Day, and now I'm ready to get her all set up and hunting. And like I said, I have a lot of the kids also. We take hunting with us. Johnny Ayers down in South Texas, actually, he's one of my pro staffers, and he uses the mix. He actually took out 4 disabled kids like a month and a half ago on a hunt over the mix. Within 45 minutes, all 4 of them kids killed over the mix. All 4 of them kids called me and thanked me, and that's like the biggest reward in the world when you see kids out there enjoying the outdoors, and especially say, "Hey, Robbie, thank you. We put your stuff out. Deer came in, we killed over. This is my first deer ever. You'll know what this deer means to me because this is my first deer." And a lot of kids, it just got to get the kids in the outdoors. That way, it keeps them off the street. Because with me coming from Baltimore City, I didn't have that kind of guidance growing up. That's why I try to help as many people as I can, kids, families, adults, anybody. I mean, got to get the kids involved. Keeps them out of trouble that way. And they ask me, it builds character.
Well, and as we said about the veterans, if you can step up and help them, and it doesn't take a lot. It really doesn't. It doesn't take a lot at all to make a difference in one guy's life, and it's pretty much that simple. So tell me about your hunting this year. You said you were working real hard, but you did go out and get some sits. So what happened when you're hunting this fall?
Yeah, I was hunting down my spot in the Run the Mills. Then we had a guy up on top of the hill to build a new building there. So kind of like sunk my spot out this year. I mean, the only good part is a lot of my big bucks that are in there, they'll be bigger next year, because when I went down there, we actually had a guy, which we got a picture of him, we actually had a guy come down there and steal our cameras. And lucky I had a camera watching them, yeah. So I went up to the job site and said, "Look, man, this is my deer hunting spot down here." I said, "You guys came down the hill, you crossed on private property, stole our cameras. We got our cameras back." I even told the guys, "Look, man, I take vets down here hunting. I have kids down here hunting." I said, "I don't need your guys coming down there." But so I didn't hunt in my spot by Run the Mills, but I had been hunting right down by my work right there off Route 40 in Essex, because it's a wooded area, and I got permission from the landowners to hunt there. So basically, even though I work a lot, when I get off work a lot of times, I get out of my work truck, change my clothes, I go in the woods. I actually shot the biggest doe of my life back there. It was, I think, 170-some pounds dressed out. But she came in, and the weird part is the doe came in behind her. She was bigger than the one I shot. And I was like, man, she came in, and the bad part is I let it go on her, and next thing I know, I'm sitting there, I'm looking up, and here comes this weird looking, this buck had a funky rack. Small, but not like big enough to shoot, because all the bucks I've seen this year, I'm trying to do a good buck-to-doe ratio. I'm trying to let the small bucks grow up. That's just me. So basically, a lot of bucks that came in on me this year, I let them walk because they were little 4 points, little 6 points, inside the ear 8 points. So, I took out a couple of doe this year, but a lot of times I'll sit there and just watch them deer come up and nail the mix. And I got foxes coming in. I even got pictures of coyotes eating the mix.
We're even going.
Man,
you know, but
they must love that. Coyotes are kind of they'll eat anything, but how do you set the mix out? Because we talked about raccoons and squirrels and stuff, and you just throw it out there. How do you protect it so the deer can get at it?
See, the only bad part is the only complaint I get from people, which is consistent, is they can't keep the mix on the ground long enough, because once the deer find it, and they're going to find it quick. I think so far the record is Dave Keg with the AVO put it out. 20 minutes later, he said 3 bucks ran in and dove in it like kids diving in a pool, and he nailed the biggest one out there. So that's like a kind of a record, 15 minutes. But the way I found out to where the mix is going to last longer, if you pour the mix out by itself, the deer are going to hammer it. Now, the bad part is they're going to eat it all up. But the good part is, which is the better side if you ask me, is once the deer find it, they come back for it over and over and over again, whether it's there or not. Like in PA, you can't bait in PA after from the beginning of September on, because there's no baiting in PA. But my buddy Sean Hiller, which is one of my PA pro staffers, he's been putting the mega mix out, and the deer pops out all year. To this day, he still shows me a picture of deer coming in. He has a hole 4x4, I think it's like 18 inches deep, where the deer come back digging on it. So the way I found to keep the mix out longer is what you do is take a 40 or 50 pound bag of corn, spread it all out, then take one of the 5 or the 3 pound bags of the mix, or 2 of each, and just sprinkle it all on top of the corn. That's going to help it last a little bit longer, but the thing is, the deer are going to pick through the corn to get to the goodies in the mix. I mean, I have corn in my product, but my corn is coated with a sweetener. So, I mean, the best part I can do is say, put the corn out, dump the mix on top, or if you want, just dump the mix on the ground, because the deer are going to find it one way or another. And like I said, once they find it, they're going to hammer it. I mean, they'll sit there and eat it. Enough deer will come into it to where it'll be gone the next day. And that's why you just got to keep your stock up every week. But like I said, but the good part is once you put it out and they eat it, from the pictures and the testimony and the video I got, and I got the same thing from 15 or 16 states, is you pour it out, they're going to find it, and once they find it, they'll come back hammering it. They'll come back digging at the ground. Like David Dorn from Outdoor Vision television show, he was actually one of the first guys I talked to. Well, his buddy Glenn put it out. He said deer were coming in, sniffing the ground, digging like crackheads, because the nickname, I think it was you who nicknamed it, is the deer crack.
Yeah. And
that's what everybody calls it. That's the nickname for it, the deer crack. I mean, like I said, man, it just goes to show you that a small idea and something so simple for the ingredients it works really good on deer. I mean, they just hammer it. They love it. I mean,
now tell me about
I don't know what to say.
No,
okay, the deer pops. The way the deer pops came is I didn't want to be the guy who only had one Attractant. That's why I came out with the mix and the mega mix. Then I thought back, back in the day, you used to buy the corn with the molasses, because everybody knows if you're a good hunter, you know deer like molasses. So what I did is I took. My idea for the deer pot was make some kind of a hanger, because people say, hey, you got something you can hang from a tree, or you can see if you can hang it from a stand or something. I'm like, no, well, let me work on that. It took me 3.5 months to get the pops down to where they work. And once I got the formula down to where it worked, and when you pull it out of the container, they're hard as a rock, and I put all the goodies in it. I mean, that's how the pops came. And right now, I'm working on the big blocks now, because I'm working on the big blocks for the feed you get. I'm working on that now. And also I'm working on getting 50-pound bags, because everybody's asking for more. So everybody's asking about 50-pound bags. But like I said, with the deer pops, I was just, hey, let me try this. And after 3.5 months, I finally got it down, and they're a big hit. I got everything hitting those. And like I said, they last longer than the mix. I mean, the only thing the deer pop is molasses, but it has my mega mix in it. Or you can get it with the mix in it. I even got people buying the ones with just the mix in it for horse stables. Because what they do is they'll take it, they hang it in the horse stable, and the horses have something to do while they're in the pens. They'll sit there and lick on the deer pop.
Now, how high do you have to have that? Let's talk about, okay, I'm sitting down in my river bottom stand, and, I want to put it out, so the wind carries it away, or, actually it'll be situated so the wind carries it to the deer. Anyway, so how far away from the stand do I set it up, and how many can I put out?
What what I suggest on doing, which works for me, I'll put it about between whatever. If you're comfortable shooting at 20 yards, 30 yards, my suggestion is put it out between 25 and 30 yards. And if you're going to put more than one out, you want to stagger. What I do is I stand next to the branch, and with the string on it, I put the string down to where the pops is about middle of my chest, because everybody knows how big some deer are. And so you basically got to hang it, well, okay, where the deer is this big, his head's going to be here. What you don't want to do is hang it too high where the deer's got to stretch to try to get it, because, they're going to lose interest in it because, hey, it's too much work. So what I do is I find the branch, and I hang the pop from it to about my mid-chest. Then once that pop's hanging about my mid-chest, I just put them out, hang them, and I'll put about 2 or 3, depending on what you want to do, about 25, 30 yards from my stand, and I put them about between 5 and 8 foot apart from each other. Or if you have an active trail, put one on the trail and take one off, or take one off the trail into your shooting lane. Because, that's what I find that works really good if you hang them like that. Because, like I said, when your eyes open, it's like the mix. When you open it, you're going to smell it and think about what the deer smell with their nose. Same thing with the deer pops. When you open a deer pops, you're going to be like, oh, man, because I actually had one guy try to eat the deer pop on a live feed. I'm like, man, don't eat that. Yeah, he actually, it smelled so good, he actually took a bite out of the deer pop.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah.
How'd that work out?
Believe it or not, man, he said it was good. And everybody who gets the mix, man, they say, man, open this bag up. It makes me hungry because of the smell. I said, yeah, but think about it. When you put it out, just think about what the deer are smelling. Hey, that smells good. Here they come. But like the deer pops are really good, man. They last a lot longer than the mix. I mean, they're more weather durable too, because everybody knows when you put out stuff, even with the Attractants on the market, rain is going to ruin about 80% of it. And there's stuff I could do better with the weather, with the mix, or the mega mix. But with the deer pops seem to hold up better in bad weather. Like if you get like a lot of rain or snow, the deer pops actually hold up a little bit better in that kind of weather than the mix and the mega mix, and I'll admit that. But you still want to put the mega mix and the mix out, because them deer are going to come in for it regardless.
Now, how big are your blocks going to be? Because I'm interested, next fall, in the different places I hunt, to put out, where it's legal, to put out blocks of the mega mix, and then I'm definitely going to hunt over the popsicles, because at our farm in Wisconsin, my buddy put them out, and he said, Hutch, they were gone. I mean, he said in a couple of days, I mean, they just hammered them, and he didn't have a camera on them, and so I don't know if it was squirrels or raccoons or just the deer, but he said, there was enough, tracks and stuff. He knew the deer were on top of them. And so I'm really interested in taking that and putting them in a couple of strategic little spots we got and see what happens.
Yeah, the blocks, right now I'm working on between 10 and 15-pound blocks. Like I said, I'm still working on, because I made one up already, and I don't think I did it, because when I took it out, I did a test on it down in my spot down by one of the mills, and then when I took it out of the container, some of it broke apart. So then I talked to a couple other guys. They gave me a little secret on how I can make them bigger and make them stay together longer, which is like the deer pops. I got to play with it more. The same thing is, like I said, the deer pops took 3.5 months, and that's working on them almost every day and every weekend on different formulas, different ingredients, seeing what holds together. Same thing with the blocks I'm doing. But what I like to do eventually is I'd like to find a company, especially for the 40 and 50-pound bags for distributor, basically to do that. Because I talked to Jeremy at Big Buck Magnet, that's what they do. They actually have a company producing their bigger bags to go into the store. Because right now, I'm trying to get my stuff in Dick's Sporting Goods, Cabela's, and our Bass Pro Shop. And I already have it in a couple of stores in Maryland. I got it down near Rundle Farm store down in Glen Burnie. I'm going to have it in Clyde's Sporting Goods starting next year, and Extreme Archery in New York, Pennsylvania carries it also. So like I said, it's just baby steps. I'm not trying to move too fast, because I got to take it one step at a time, because I don't want to get in over my head. But like I said, man, yesterday was a full year, and in that year I came a very, very long way. I made some really good contacts, met some really good people, and I mean, as people see on my website and on my Facebook and my group page, people are nailing deer over it left and right. Let's
tell the people how to get a hold of you again on Facebook or Twitter, Instagram, and then your website.
So, yeah, like I said, you guys get a hold of me. You can go to my website at themixfordeer.com. That has my contact info. Or feel free to call me anytime at 717-814-7162. Also on Facebook, I have a Facebook group called Camo Outdoors. You guys can contact me through them also. Or if you guys contact the AVO, David Cagle, they can also get a hold of me. So best they do is either call or go on my website that has all my contact information. And people can call me any day or night, anytime. I don't care what time it is. You got a question about the mix, call me. You need help with, because I also have been doing lately I've been helping with a lot of fundraisers, like I said, for disabled children, handicapped kids, for veterans. So I've donated a lot of stuff to that also. But anything I can do to help, man, feel free to contact me. I don't care what time it is.
Now,
feel free to call.
Do you have a pro staff, guys out there or gals out there, repping you?
Yes, sir. I have. So far, I got 5 pro staffers. I got 2 in Maryland, 2 in PA, and I got 2 down in South Texas. And I have Matt from. I think you talked to Matt at Knocked Up.
Yep.
What was it? Yeah, Matt. I got Matt and also Old Glory Bow Hunters. I have Matt from there also that helps me out in my mix. They're one of my staffers also. I'm actually sponsoring them also. I'm the deer attraction sponsor.
Yeah, because I don't know. I'm trying to think Colorado. I've never tried it in Colorado, but I'd sure like to. If it's legal, I'm going to have to check on that, folks.
Yes, that's why I tell people, if you're going to use a mix, please check your laws and make sure it's legal, because I don't want nobody, hey, I'm going to put this out and get in trouble, then I'm going to feel bad. But like I tell people, if you want to use the mix or the mega mix, check your laws, because like a lot of states they can't bait during the season, but they're allowed to put it out all out in the off season. That's where my mega mix comes in handy, because the mineral in my mega mix has nutrients in it for antler growth and body nutrients. So a lot of states you can't bait during the season, but you can bait on the off season. So you guys still get the mix and the mega mix and put out, because I'm telling you, it's like I tell people, I can sit here and preach about it all I want. Get a bag, put it out. Put a 5-pound bag out one time. Let the deer hit it. Don't put it out for like 2 weeks to keep a camera on it. You'll have them deer coming back over and over again digging for it. Like I said, the proof is in the pudding, I guess the best way to put it.
Yeah, that's for sure. Now, you said you hunted a couple of different states. Did you take any big bucks, or was that big doe the trophy of the fall?
So far, that big doe, I got 3 does down. Like, so all the bucks, I'm not going to lie, they wasn't big enough for me to shoot. Like in Ohio, I didn't want to go to Ohio, especially seeing the caliber of pictures of bucks that were in there, to shoot a small 6 or a small 8. I wanted something big. Like I said, but whether I kill or not, it don't bother me as long as I get out in the woods. Like I said, I got 3 doe down, and then 2 of the does were part of I'm trying to the new spot. I got too many does in this new spot also, so I'm trying, as everybody knows, you got to have that buck to doe ratio up, so you'll have more bigger and better bucks. Like down my spot by Run the Mills, I don't shoot nothing there unless it's a 8-point or better, and it's got to be 4 years old or older. That's why I had really good bucks down where I hunt at my spot in Maryland by Run the Mills. Not my new spot, the other spot, is because I let them small bucks grow up. I want big deer, and I got big deer. The new spot, I've only been hunting that now for about 2 months, so I basically got to work on that. But from what I've seen so far, I got way too many foxes, and I got way too many does. I mean, I think the buck to doe ratio is like 6 does to every buck from what I counted so far. So like I say, it's all work in progress, but they all coming in, hitting the mix, hitting the pops. I mean, like I said, my spot down by Run the Mills, I feed all year. And to me, it's like a trade-off. I shoot a couple of deer out, and then I feed them all year. So come spring, when them does start giving birth to them fawns are going to come out healthy and not all skinny and die off. Because that's what you don't want. Because everybody knows some winters put a real hurt on deer, especially the younger ones. So, I mean, it's like if I see a doe with a broken leg, I'll take it out. I actually had a button buck come in my spot where I let one of my pro staffers hunt. It was a yearling, but his back leg was just dangling like somebody. He must have got hit by a car. So I told him to go ahead and take it out just for a simple fact there, because I know that deer is not going to survive. So why have a deer suffer? But besides that, like I said, I'm trying to be kind of picky on the bucks I shoot, even in Ohio, even down in Arkansas. We saw a lot of coyotes. I want to shoot a coyote, but I didn't have no shot. They came in, but I couldn't get a shot.
Are you hunting with a bow or rifle or muzzleloader?
I'm 100% bow. I know, because where I hunt at down both my spots in Maryland, where I hunt at, I can't use a gun for the simple fact there's one down by my work, and the one down in Arundel Mills is what we call in Baltimore backyard hunting. It's my buddy's backyard, which is 5 acres, and the nearest house is 190 yards away from me. I could only use bow. The only good part is it's only me and one of the guys that I let hunt there, which is one of my pro staffers, Sterling, is one of my pro staffers hunting that area. And everybody around them houses know we're back there. So if just say if we would shoot a deer or run and die on a guy's property, I go knock at the door, hey, I'm Robbie, from Rob's property. Oh, guy, we know who you are. Gotta go get it. So, which is pretty cool, man. But like I said,
you got a lot of suburban deer, don't you?
Yeah, we have some really, and believe it or not, some of the biggest deer coming out of Maryland this year, believe it or not, in people's backyards. Because the way they're building up around here, them deer got no place to go, but the only good part is they're going down in people's backyards, and not a lot of people are hunting them, so they're allowing these deer actually to grow and hit their potential, and that's why there's so many big deer coming out of Maryland this year. There was a guy, I don't know if you saw it on Facebook or not, but he shot a 209-inch buck. His mass was so big, the guy had put both his hands around it to, touch his fingers, and he still wasn't touched. Well, come to find out, he poached the deer. Because the guy who does his taxidermy, Dave, is a friend of mine. And he's the one that sent me the picture. I said, look, Robbie, look what this guy shot. Well, he said the next day, DNR showed up. Come to find out, this guy shot this deer on his neighbor's property. He shot over a fence and went over there, and the guy's got cameras everywhere. And the guy's got a picture of this guy dragging this big deer off his property. And the guy even field dressed the deer on this guy's property, then drug it over to his. And so the DNR came and confiscated that big deer. Another deer came out of Maryland, which is legal kill out of, Chester, I think it's Chester County on the Eastern Shore, a 215-inch buck came out of 220-some pounds field dressed.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah, and all these deer, and I have a new one in my spot down in by Arundel Mills that I call the hog. I'd never seen this deer before. Never in the 5 years I've been hunting this property. Well, he showed up this year, and he hammers the crap. He actually got video of him chasing bucks off of the mix and the mega mix. From what I can count, he's got 7 points on each side. And his G2, G3 look about maybe between 18 and 21 inches high.
Oh, my goodness.
So he's a big deer. He's a big body deer. I ain't never seen this deer before. I think what it is, when he built the new houses down up from Rob's house and between Rob and my sister's house, they're chasing all them deer out. But this deer is, if I nail him, I guarantee I'll get some kind of state record. I ain't never seen a deer around that big. That's why I call him the hog.
Now, how do you hunt suburban deer? What's your secret for hunting suburban deer? How do you do it? Because, you're probably not 100 yards from somebody's back deck.
Now, basically, first thing I found with the law is in Maryland, you got to be 120 yards from somebody's house. So the good part is on my buddy Rob's property, once you go out back of his house, he has a little field, then I go up on top of the hill. And on top of this hill, there's an opening. And the nearest house, like I said, is about 180, 190 yards away. So the way I did is I went up and looked for a good trail. Then I said, all right, well, I'm going to put my feeders here. So what I do is I put regular corn in my feeders. But what I do is I take the mix and the mega mix and I mix it in with my feeders. Then I'll dump it in. And then I'll take another bag out and I'll just go ahead and dump it in between the feeders. Then once I get the deer traffic in, I pattern the way they're coming in. That's when I start hanging the deer pops on the trail because, I'm pretty sure you've been in this predicament. You're in your deer stand. A deer is coming down the trail going for like a feeder or something. Sometimes you can't get him to stop because he's hungry. So what I do is I put the mega mix out there, but in between the trail, I'll put 2 or 3 deer pops in the shooting lane. So that deer is going to come in and say, hey, the deer pop's here. Let me stop and lick it. Or if they're moving real fast, they got 3 different areas to stop in, which to me, it increases your chances better of getting a deer in the shooting lane because I'll hang the pops right in the shooting lane where I know I got a good shot. Because actually, I took Miss Boss Lady here hunting, and we're sitting in the deer stand, and she goes, Daddy, there's a deer. I didn't know where this deer came from.
It came from the house.
It must have came from one of the houses. Well, I went ahead and I grunted. She wouldn't stop, and she jumped. I don't know if I moved too fast. I spooked her. But she went around, and she circled. She was, I think I ranged at 31 yards. Well, I didn't really. I thought I had a clear shooting lane because it wasn't my normal shooting lanes because it was behind me in the thickets. Well, I pulled back and let go, and the only thing I did, thank God, is gave it a haircut. I just knocked a little bit of hair off, and Miss Thing here started ragging on me, asking why did I miss.
Why'd you miss?
Yeah, see, why did I miss? But that's what I mean by hanging the deer pops and shooting areas. Like, because I had a couple bucks come in my new spot. They were coming in, and I had perfect shooting lanes. But they were so hungry, they were going right into the mix. Them smaller bucks, and I tried grunting, I tried snort wheezing. I was doing it. Them bucks were just beelining. So that's what gave me the idea. Okay, well, if I hang a pop in this shooting lane, that shooting lane. So I did that one day. I went out without my bow, set, and I actually watched a deer come in on the trail, hit that pop for a little while, then it goes down, goes over, hits the next pop in a little while, and that's how I came up with some of the success I had with the deer I got this year. I got good shooting lanes, I got my deer pattern, and my attraction helps keep them in there because they keep coming back.
Robbie, it's hard to believe, but we're at the time of the show. You got a minute or two to get some shout-outs, and then we're going to wrap the show.
Oh, definitely, yeah. I want to give a shout-out to the AVO, which is the American Veteran Outdoors, and we can't forget about, Jeff and them guys at Buck Cage. My scent cover, which is Element Custom Scents. Guys, this scent eliminator is freaking awesome. Awesome. All the deer I shot were downwind, and I used Element Custom Scent. Them deer didn't even smell me. And we can't say about robbing them guys over there at True Hunters and Anglers. And I want to give a big thanks to Nate and Mr. Bill at Extreme Archery in York, Pennsylvania. And definitely give a shout out to my buddy Bruce on here because if it wasn't for Bruce, I wouldn't be on this radio talking. So I got to give a shout out to you, buddy.
Hey, thanks. It's always a pleasure. I can't wait till we catch up later this spring. But having said that, happy New Year to you and your family and all our listeners across North America. So, Robbie Knickman, thank you so much for being a guest, and can't wait till we talk next time.
Oh, yes, sir. Thank you very much for having me. It's deeply appreciative. It means a lot.
Hey, don't forget to check out the next episode of Whitetail Rendezvous. It's really going to be an interesting show because I have Blake Alma. Now, Blake is a 16-year-old man that has written a book called The Hunter's War. Blake has a radio station called the Outdoors Men's Art Radio Show on WRVO. Blake thinks about hunting. He thinks about the tradition of hunting, and he thinks about the threats of hunting. That's why he's coming out with a new book called The Hunter's War. It's going to be interesting because he has his co-host Eli Gordine on the show also, and we're going to talk about just why we have to protect our hunting heritage. So listen up. It's going to be a great show.
Thanks for joining us. Be sure to tune in tomorrow for another episode of Whitetail Rendezvous, where you can listen and learn from the experts so you can be more successful on your next hunt. Until next time, listen, learn, and succeed.